All right, we're gonna call up MamaDukes now. We're gonna learn about a project, all the goodies, and it's gonna be exciting. Hello, hello.
Hello, I don't want to cause an echo.
If you want to mute the stream, you should be able to hear me through Discord just fine.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, check, check, check.
I
Okay.
can figure out how to mute Twitch. It's my first time here.
Oh, you're good. I mean, maybe if you want to just close out of the tab, you don't need to be watching it. No worries.
Maybe if you want to just close out of the tab, you don't need to be watching it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Check, check,
Yeah,
check,
let's do
check.
that.
Yo, okay, I think we're good. Oh, hold on. I can still hear myself.
Okay, I think we're good. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, hold on.
I'm gonna exit Twitch. I closed the tab, but it was running in the background.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Can you hear me good? We're vibing?
I can.
Yo, 100% awesome. Well, guys, this is MamaDukes. Now, listen, you are, kind of famously known in the background here for your involvement with Pixel Vault, but you're actually working on your own project as well. So give us a little bit of a rundown about who you are, what you do as kind of, your stuff, and then what you're now doing on your own here in the NFT space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined the NFT space in September, and then I got hired by Pixel Vault. Just a small little company with a small little project in October. So I am very, very new to this space. But when I interviewed with G-Funk, he's like, what do you know about NFTs? And I had been in it for about 3 weeks. And I was like, you're not hiring me because I know NFTs. You're hiring me because I can help organize your life and start your business. He was like, done. So that's how I started, and I started off as his EA, but it quickly grew into just really supporting the team. Building out the infrastructure. We were and are growing very quickly, and so it's just building out that entire infrastructure. So it's systems and processes, and yeah, it sounds all like Web 2.0, but it's what we need to function as a business. So yeah, I just kind of like threw myself into the space, into the community. It's a great community to be a part of, an amazing team to work with, just so much talent on so many different levels. So I feel like if I was going to do this anywhere, this is the team to be a part of. So yeah, my role grew in from supporting just G-Funk and the leadership into the entire team. And now I'm heading up their talent and culture to make sure that we bring in the right people, and that once they're here, that we treat them the best of the best, because that's who we are and what we want to create. And it's super fun. And it is literally flying the plane as we build it. But that's what makes it crazy and exciting. So yeah, that's how I came to Pixel Vault, how I got started. And also, I don't want this to just be me talking at you. So
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Just wanted to let you do that. So, I mean, you started with this kind of like involvement with Pixel Vault, but then you're like, hey, you know what? Listen, I got a little bit of talent of my own. Let me throw together a project right quick. And so you have this one called Between the Lines. It's 300 generative NFT poems. Now, when I open up OpenSea here, I see a whole bunch of them, but they're just sitting where it's kind of, the graph of waiting for the reveal, if you will. So what's the project about? What are some of the things they're going to reveal? And give us all the lowdown on it.
Yeah, so I'm a writer. It's just what I've done my entire life. That's my art medium. And, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be in this space, I want to be in this space, and I want to learn something new and stretch my brain in different ways. And the creating the art was the easy part. So what I was thinking of is that I have these poems. I want to share my art, but I also want to inspire others to create from it. So I had this concept of, the magnet tiles that you had in college, where you like rearrange them to like make inappropriate poems for your roommates, right?
I've never done any poem writing like ever besides high school, but I can imagine.
Like, you had like those word magnets, right? And you like rearrange them to like make funny things. And I was like, well, why not do that with an NFT project, right? So there's this generative art, and if I pick these 20 random words with these titles and these images, what does that then create? And then what does that inspire other people to create? So that's really where like the roadmap came from. And I was like, well, I want this to be a book, so I need covers. I need a front cover and a back cover. And then I have these poems that I created, but I wanted to inspire others. So that's where the concept of these kind of three different tiers, where you have the rare front and back covers, and then there's 100 or 75 of each of those. And then there's 50 of my original poems.
Ooh.
And then there is 100 of what I call the pages. And that's all of it's generative, but the pages are really fun because it's this combination of different words. And when somebody mints one, I want it to like invoke or inspire something in them to then either write or create or paint or illustrate or write music around that concept. So it's basically like writing prompts for the community. So that's the project. And, you know, I didn't do a lot of research, which I now kind of regret, but my husband's like, hey, here's this video about how to do NFTs in an hour. And so I started it and I just jumped right in. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have watched the video all the way through before. I just started like randomly coding. And shout out to Jesse. He's at CodeStackR, and Jesse's amazing. He has a YouTube channel. He has a Discord where he is just customer service #1. He's really an educator in the space, which I appreciate. You know, I think his whole thing is like, I'm teaching non-coding people how to code. What I do think is really cute about the video is he says, no coding experience required. I will say this. It would be helpful if you knew the difference between what a comma does and a semicolon in coding, right? Or like a bracket versus parentheses. Like there is some basic coding knowledge that would prove to be beneficial prior to jumping into this. But yeah, I was like, I want to create this generative art, and here's a video on how to do it. So the art was the easy piece. Then I just started watching this video. It is on Polygon, which has its advantages. You know, the economic factor, it's cheaper on gas, and the coding is a lot more simple. But then it has its complications because you have to bridge your Ethereum, etc. But yeah, so that's kind of like the concept of it and how I just kind of jumped headfirst into it. I haven't had to use logic in my brain that way probably since college, like if this, then that. So I launched it, and initially it was a collection of 1,500. And it was so pretty. It was so fun to like click the button and see all the artwork connect and then work on the code and fix the code and stay up late going, why is this code not working? And then have the code work. I was like, ah, yes. And then I had this beautiful collection of 1,500, and I had a launch party, and it was fun, and a handful of people bought it. And I was like, yay, I get to give you my NFT. And they're like, when reveal? And then the reveal didn't work.
well, that's unfortunate. So what's the situation now with getting the reveal?
So, well, I'll get there. So I went to Jesse. I'm like, what happened? I swear I followed it. And he goes, you forgot to set the Boolean code to false. Right now it's true, so all of your NFTs are locked. And there's nothing you can do about it except to remint the collection. I was like, no. So that was definitely a lesson learned. Like I had one field wrong in my entire code, and because of that, the collection just was like null and void. So I had to like think about like, okay, am I gonna return the ETH to the people or the Matic? Am I gonna try again? How do I want to like pivot, right? I have a large following because of Pixelvault. I don't necessarily have a large following because of my project. So I could really take it any way I wanted to. And at the end of the day, I still wanted this to be a successful project. I still wanted, and I define success by sharing my artwork, inspiring others, and learning something new. And I learned something new. But I wasn't going to accomplish sharing my art and inspiring others if I just let it end there. So I fine-tuned a few things. I rescoped the collection. Instead of 1,500, it's now 300, which just made it more manageable for me, with the same proportions and breakout of rarity. And then I reminted it, and I fixed the code. I triple checked it several
Yeah,
times.
triple double banger.
Right? And again, just shout out to Jesse for just being such a great resource and just so timely and supportive in his troubleshooting. So what you see now on the official collection is working. So it's all hidden. When you mint one, you're not going to know what you're going to get, whether that's a cover, a page, or a poem. And that's kind of like the fun of it. But the reveal mechanic does now work. And because it's a small collection, I have a small following. You know, I'm not doing 10,000 of these to like random wallets. When somebody purchases it, I go in and I update the minted NFT and it reveals to you. And that's how you get your beautiful artwork. So yeah, it's there now. And that's like just super exciting for me to have it officially working. And I love doing the independent reveals because I feel like I get like a one-to-one connection with my community. And there's been a few where it's surprised me what they've gotten. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect for that person. So yeah, that's the collection and I'm really proud of it. I've had a lot of fun. There's a lot of late nights and just tired eyes. Anyone that says that this is easy, it's not. And also, if it says that you can do this in an hour,
Don't listen to it.
you can't.
It's lies. Listen, it's all for the clickbait. That's how it. That's how it typically works. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting the way that you're kind of like talking about this because, like, for the majority of the projects we have on here is similar to like what you're saying about like the full 10K, completely full blown projects, etc. And with this one, it's kind of like a solo thing where it's it's a passion project on the side that you have. And I mean, what was kind of like the big motivating factor for it? Was it the fact that you're on, or you kind of got introduced to all this and you jumped on with the Pixel Vault aspect and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the kind of behind the scenes aspect? Was it, hey, like, we've seen like these Bored Apes, other stuff, like that's cool. Like what was kind of the signifying thing for you that you were like, yeah, I want to kind of jump into NFTs within my kind of like own right way?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination. Working in the space, I wanted to know how it works in the space. I have a really anyone that works on the team, we're still small enough that we still get exposure to all of the activities, from the artists to the writers to the devs to the business development to G-Funk. And so I love being able to see like behind the scenes. And I know how much each of those business verticals, how hard they work and each of their talents. I get the business development and I get the marketing and I get the art and I get the writing. The dev tech is just so amazing to me. And so I really wanted to learn how to code something. And Jesse's video was a great way to introduce me to it and give me something to work from and troubleshoot and figure things out. My Google search was off the chain. So that was part of the inspiration. The second part of it is I don't see a lot of writing projects, and you have the valet, Jenkins the valet, right?
Yes.
Obviously that's huge. And a few other ones, but I don't see a lot of writers in the space. And my original roadmap, which I think I will hopefully get to someday, is that each of the segments, cover, pages, or poems, have different utility. So if you have a cover, you will actually have voting rights on the full-length novel that I'm writing, and you'll be able to get exposure to the chapters before anybody else, and then you get to help vote on what happens to the characters. And then you can also take the characters and create side stories about them. And then if you own a full poem, you'll get access to my private medium. And then the writing prompts are just public writing prompts that I'm going to release on a weekly basis. So the other thing was that I just wanted to give just like you see music NFTs kind of just starting to take off, I wanted to be part of the writing collective. So that was the other inspiration. And then the third is really, I've spent a lot of my life writing about really dark shit. And I'm kind of over it. And I was talking to somebody earlier about it, and I was listening to like some pop music. I was like, wow, these people are in really unhealthy relationships, saying really unhealthy things about the world and themselves. And I just want to create a different place for people to find different words that make them feel something different, something more positive, something more joyful, something deeper. And I don't know if I'm that person for them, but I don't know. I wanted to bring something brighter, and that was more a reflection of where I'm at, kind of like spiritually in this place, to the space. So yeah, I just hope people can find a little fun between the lines.
Yeah, 100%. So when we're looking at the collection, just wanted to make sure that I'm kind of figuring out the way that it looks is so on the collection that you have linked in your profile, you have kind of the cover photo with between the lines, and then I'm
Mhm.
seeing some tweets that you also have where it says like sunflower, beauty and reality, and then on your cover photo there's another kind of it's got like kind of the different lines and stuff. So what does the actual piece, if you get one, look like? Is it the one with the words that I mentioned, or
Yeah. So the cover graphic is actually an NFT that I minted from my mentor and kind of project guru and first person in the space, and her name is NFT by T, and she has this amazing coffee club. I so the piece is called Gratitude, and that's how I like to start and end my day, how I start and end my projects, start and end spaces. And NFT by T really was such a guide for me in this space and with this project. So I wanted to bring her and her artwork into my collection. So that's like the crazy wicked banner graphic that you see with like the neon lines and stuff. That piece is Gratitude. But what the actual artwork looks like, it's a vertical piece. The covers are gray, and the generative elements for the covers are the artwork, and then the tagline that exists above the cover. And then the back cover is also vertical with gray, and the poem is generative at the very top. So it's kind of like this mini poem. I wasn't anticipating doing that. I was going to do like a more traditional back cover of a book, but the words just kind of came to me and just took off from there. And then yeah, the poems themselves have different titles, different backgrounds, and different artwork that's off centered. So yeah, that's and fun colors. I'm obsessed with pink, as my family knows. But yeah, so that's the art, and the different words that you'll see. And I have a few. I can pin a few on my Twitter as well.
yeah,
So that
I was going through some of your stuff on your Twitter over there. Sorry, you can't see this the way that it works with Discord, but we're showing all that stuff throughout it. So that's really cool. Now, Buffalo Space in the chat here is asking about if you're able to, maybe not right now, but the link to the video that you were talking about regarding Jesse. They're interested in watching that. If you're able to
yeah,
share that a bit
absolutely. I
later.
can definitely share that. I'll put that in the chat when we're done. I'm trying to keep my windows minimized. Like
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
on
100%.
you. But yeah, I can definitely do that. And his Discord is Code Stack, and it's just a really phenomenal resource out there for anyone who's interested in do-it-yourself kind of project. So yeah.
Now, for everyone that's tuned in right now, I'm gonna I've put it before. I'm gonna do it again for MamaDukes Twitter, and then Between the Lines Twitter as well. So if you're wanting to go follow those projects, go set it out. And we just have a kind of a few more minutes here. So if you're down, let's just kind of like talk about the space and everything that you're kind of like involved in. If you're down with it. So I mean, we've had like a crazy little bit here with the crypto regulations. Oh, it's good. Oh, we have like this kind of crazy crisis going on. But we see time and time again all these projects that are doing some massive things, really kind of pushing through all of that. And I mean, for you guys with Pixel Vault and everything, how's it kind of been behind the scenes? Has it been crazier than normal? Has things kind of slowed at points with the world kind of being on fire in a way?
feel like the world's been on fire for a long time, as Billy Joel would say. But I think it's always busy because we're always pushing and we're always doing something new. And just when one thing ends, we're already on to the next. And we have a lot of business verticals that are going on at the same time. I think the biggest thing that I'm learning is that we have a collective vision of a company that really came from G-Funk and building this IP across multiple mediums using this new decentralized revenue structure for our community. The challenge is that the rest of the world hasn't caught up to us, right? And so we are in this constant battle between what we value and who come and what are our limitations like right now. Perfect example is I'm running payroll for our team. And when everybody started, we were all contractors. We were all getting paid in ETH. It was just kind of like the Wild West a little bit. But now we are a fully formed legal entity in the United States. And we have certain obligations, how we classify our employees, how they get paid, how that pay is recorded. Our team is fully remote, so we have to have all of our compliance within state document or, within each state. And yeah, that sounds like very Web 2.0, but there's this constant like balancing between the world we want to create and the world that we live in. And being able to straddle both of those is extremely challenging and also extremely fun, as long as you hold on to those values of like innovation, decentralization, and like giving back value to the community. So I see it like in very real terms. I've had to explain to our team members why they can no longer get paid in ETH, because that it's just not viable for us at this point from a legal perspective, from an accounting perspective, from a budget perspective. And so it's that we're growing from a small company that was very, crypto native, but in order for us to become the next thing, we still have to operate in this environment. So I find that to be extremely interesting, challenging, and exciting. And I think we have great leadership, with G-Funk and Jacob kind of like creating that balance, and then also just bringing on the investors and the staff that can live in both of those worlds.
So I want to kind of go back to, I guess, when things really kind of kicked off and the idea with remote work. And I know that that's something that, even to this day, I still kind of struggle with. But I mean, you guys created everything from doing it remotely. So do you think that was, is there any parts of it that it's good that it was remote and you're able to have access to all these, different talent? Or was it kind of like a struggle when it first started? Because I think at the same time was kind of when the pandemic somewhat started, or was, just a few months after and we're getting used to it?
Yeah, I think the advantage that we have is that it was started with a completely virtual team. It's not like we had a brick and mortar and then we had to disband and then deal with all of the transition of that, right? So I think that it's been extremely beneficial. We have a lot of communication tools that we use, whether that's Discord, Slack, yes, email, oh my God. Although, I mean, like internally we don't use email, but externally we still obviously leverage that. So I think in that regards, because Sean G-Funk started it in 2021, everyone was already working from home, right? So in that respect, it's been good, and people have had a year and some change experience working with remote outside of Pixel Vault. So everybody came in knowing what it was like to be on a virtual team. My job as like the director of talent and culture is to make sure that we still stay connected. I was chatting with one of the team members, the Virtunaut. You have his music as like on your, oh my God, I love that song.
Yeah, me too. It's a huge banger.
It was so funny is that I went to your profile and I wasn't expecting it. I was like, Virtunaut, you're famous. Oh my God, it's so good. If you haven't heard his music, it's incredible. But we were typing, like we were chatting, and then he just calls me and he's like, let's just talk. I'm like, okay, let's do that. And I think like we forget that not everybody has like families or roommates, or, you know, it can get really, it's really easy to just kind of be enclosed in your little space. So making an effort to make sure that, like, you know what, I'm just going to call somebody on Discord instead of chatting with them, or it's that extra step to make sure that that culture, um, be it virtually, is still maintained. A big part for me is also onboarding. You know, we're growing really fast, and so when new members join the team, it's, do you have the resources that you need to do your job? Do you know who you're working with? Have you seen their faces? I think Woodridge had been working with G-Funk for 2 months before she even got on a video call with him. Like, she didn't even know what he looked like. So it's just being conscientious of the implications of that. And then, you know, we're also, it is fun to like know that we're not wedded to just a geographic location, and that talent can really come from anywhere in the world. And that's really exciting. It brings in a lot of diversity and, you know, different opinions and different time zones, which can be tricky at times. But I feel like these people work at all hours of the day anyway.
Hey, yo, facts. Yo, facts.
You know, and the other thing that I'm focused on, along with the leadership and you know, the other team leads, is making sure that there's still a life balance. Again, we all know the NFT space just like sucks you in, and you're in wonderland, and all time and space just kind of evaporates. But making sure that the team takes time. I literally will say to them, we're ending the meeting 10 minutes early, stand up, get some water, go to the bathroom, go for a walk. Like, I take MamaDukes very seriously. And whether they listen to me or not, but making sure that they maintain like a healthy life balance is also really important for a fully virtual team. So yeah, I think right now it's been an advantage. This is like such a random thing, but we're also figuring out, okay, what's our policy on company issued equipment? So you need a computer. The company will obviously pay for it. Okay, but usually when you work for a company, you have to physically go pick it up.
Yeah, yo, I had to do that in my old job. Yeah, 100%.
And then when you leave, you have to bring it back, right? And I said to Jacob and G-Funk, I'm like, I am not collecting like 15 laptops when people leave the company. Like, it's not a thing I'm gonna do. So it's those really random, like, it's things that you kind of take for granted when you're at like a
right.
physical, legitimate company, that you're like, oh yeah, we got to figure out like how we're going to issue company equipment, and then what's the return policy. I'm like, I don't want your MacBook that you've been doing whatever on for, you know, like for 2 years. Like, okay, so what does that look like, and how is that equitable and fair? And, you know, so there's all those things, and it's really exciting to build. And yeah. And also, I think that we're in an industry that embraces this metaverse, right? And so when you talk about virtual work teams or working remotely, we've already kind of bought into this online avatar and online work environment in some capacity. So because of that, I think it also makes it a lot easier to create a company culture and a place that people still feel like they can be seen and heard without being seen and heard. So
Yeah, well, so I remember just the other week, you guys were, speaking of kind of the figuring out how to get equipment to different people. You were on a Twitter space where you was kind of talking about the hiring aspect of things for this. And so, what does it take to become a member of the Pixel Vault team, or what are some things you see in the industry that are really high in demand right now?
I mean, it goes without saying, Solidity developers, they're just getting, snagged left and right. And it's such a new space. So if you have experience, that means you've been here for 9 months, right? And you can really go anywhere you want and get paid as much as you want to do what you want. So the inventory on talent is low, and then the competition is high for the tech roles. I would say the space that we did on culture and talent a few weeks ago was really exciting. And the takeaway that I want to share with anyone who's looking to become a part of Pixel or really any company, it's not specific to us, is like show your value. The resumes and portfolios that, sorry about that, stick out to us are the ones that are personalized, the ones that are professional, and the ones that are polished. So if you want, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten resumes for a UI UX designer and they don't have a portfolio. That's just not gonna fly, because if you can't even like brand yourself and showcase your artwork in a way that you're proud of to display, that's not a good indication of what you're gonna do for the company. So always having a professional and polished resume. And by resume, I don't mean like a PDF. Like, to be honest, I open your resume to get links to your portfolio and to your GitHub. So that's probably another really key takeaway. I'd rather have somebody write a compelling letter of why they want to work for us, what value they can add, and then a link to their online work. Right now, we're not doing a ton of hiring for the infrastructure roles like, finance and HR and business development, because we're building out our leadership team. That leadership team is then going to formulate our strategy, which will then indicate those roles. So really the positions that we're hiring for are ones that require really strong portfolios. So if you want to work for us or for really any company, personalized, polished, professional. And digital
yeah. and digital, yeah, 100%.
To be honest, so yeah, I think I'm a great example of that, right? The reason I was interviewed by G Funk and Allie, I love telling this story. G Funk's profile on Twitter says, "I'm aware of many hats," and my subject line was, "Let me be your hat rack," and my resume was branded like a comic with the colors of Pixel. So I knew I wanted to work for them. I knew it was a high profile company, and I figured that the competition would be high. So because of that, I'm going to go above and beyond, and I'm going to connect my talents to your business need and then sell you on my skills when we talk. So I think whatever way you can find a connection between the value that you bring and a business need that you see at Pixel Vault, that's when it's going to click, and that's when we're going to connect and talk and then give you an offer the next day, because we move that fast.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, like, how's that process been for onboarding as many people as you do? Because I think the last thing that I remember was like 32 or 33 people.
Yeah, we have about 5 more starting in the next month. So we are, we're moving very, very fast, and I think it's we're trying to be strategic with it in terms of, okay, what are the gaps that we know that we have? How do we get those people? And then it's kind of like dating. I love to use this analogy. Like, you go on a first date, you may not know if you're going to marry that person, but if there's good chemistry and there's shared values and you have the same interests, you're going to see them again, right? You don't really need to have like a lot more than that. And I think that's kind of the attitude that we've taken when interviewing team members. Like, do we have good chemistry? Do you fulfill a need that I have? Can you deliver on that need? And like, let's just go, right? So we move, once we know that somebody is a fit for us, we move very, very quickly. We move very aggressively. We don't want to lose them. We know competition is tight, and we want the best of the best. So yeah. And we also know when somebody may not be the right fit either. But I would say most of the people that have joined our team pretty much had the offer to them the next day. Like, we don't waste time when we see talent. Just There's no reason to.
Banger. Yo, I love it. It's cool. It's so interesting hearing kind of like the behind the scenes, because it's just something that you don't really see, right? Like you see the different drops, you're like, okay, here's those weekly Twitter spaces, lately with Economist and VGF that way. And I know one of the comments lately that we've seen on socials is seeing G-Funk apparently flying out to LA and all these other stuff. So are you able to talk about any of that stuff at all?
Oh, definitely not. I would
Okay.
totally. um, the biggest takeaway from that is just we're not an NFT company. That's not how G-Funk sells us. That's not how we think of ourselves, and that's not what we're doing. So it's hard because right now our only revenue stream is NFTs. But we are truly, like, our description says that we are an IP media company that leverages assets across multi-mediums. Yeah, it's a mouthful, it's a lot of buzzwords, but when you boil that down, really what we're saying is that we have stories, we have characters, we have games, we have DeFi, we have generative art, we have NFTs, and we want to have a business vertical for TV, for movie, for athletes and celebrities, for this and this. And it's really easy when you're in the Discord channel to have tunnel vision that this is only an NFT project. And when MintPass 2 and when really we are a team of 30 that's doing all of that. And so I always ask our community members to keep that in mind, that what you see right now is just the NFTs, and that's how we got our start. That's not going anywhere, and we love our community. But this team is also really, really busy building on all of those different verticals. And like, for God's sakes, people, this takes time. Like the NFTs just move so fast. But this stuff, the things that we want to do, it doesn't. And going back to that like clash between Web3 and Web2 from a philosophical perspective, we want to like engage, like we want to buy a soccer club or a football club, right? Okay, boom, done. Let's do it. Yeah, well then there's lawyers, and then there's contracts, and then there's communications, and then there's PR, and like that we can make quick business decisions, but like the execution of that is just long term. So it's about kind of educating the community too. Like, look, we get it. You're our firstborn, right? And we're always going to take care of you. But just know that we're going to have a lot of other children.
Right on. Okay, so listen, I got a question then regarding kind of everything that you guys are doing. You got the outlook of the future. You really have so many options and things that you guys can really do. What do you think is going to be the thing that Pixel Vault is known for 5 years down the line? Do you think that it's going to be the comics? Do you think that it's going to be the game? Do you think it's going to be something else? Like, is there anyone right now that you're like, yeah, you know what? Like, and it could be your personal preference too, right? Because you're talking about poems and writing and all that kind of jazz. And I think the comic series is really cool in the first edition. And I know we got a question from Steam regarding some of the Elite Eight stuff, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But really, there's so many different aspects to it.
So, God, that is a great question. Um, I what I hope that we're known for is reinventing how community gains value, both monetarily and, like, I don't think it's the right word, psychologically, from being part of an ecosystem. Like, I know that sounds like really fluffy and everything, and that it's probably not the answer that you were looking for. Like, oh, the AAA game is going to be the thing, right? The comic series Meta Heroes is going to turn into the next Marvel. Really, in 5 years, I want Pixel, again, personal preference. I would love to see like Pixel being the first company to really give back value to its community in a brand new way. So if you think about like how like the stock market was created and how you know, holders were initiated, like I want us to be like the new version of the stock market and redistributing wealth and creating this kind of new way of engaging with content that also adds value. So I don't think that's related to a specific project. I think that's really related to, okay, if we say that the Meta Heroes is going to be like the next Marvel and it does really well from a revenue perspective and cultural perspective and all of that, that's cool. But there's a lot of Marvels out there. What does that mean for like for our community? Like how do they gain value from it? And to disrupt that market, that's where I would want us to be in 5 years, is to be like, oh, fuck. Like if you're a holder, every time there's like, it's not like royalties based, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's big brain
Well,
stuff
there's so
like
many
that.
options. Like it's the whole Web3 notion, right? With
Right.
the whole the idea, and people always say like, you know, they make fun of it in a way lately, where they say, oh, like what are you actually gonna do with like your own IP? And sure, like some of these things you have like your rights to it, but really it's the grander scale of things about, hey, you know, like there's these IP from these projects, you're a part of it. You know, you saw it when it was kind of like in its infancy, and you know, down the line here, there's various things, perks, benefits, yada 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 yada, that can kind of come
Yeah,
about.
I mean, I love the Moonlings project. You know, Pinballer just came out with his comic. You know, we have the partnership with the Elite Apes, and so this attitude of inclusivity and abundance to me is more exciting than what project we have is going to be the most successful that's going to define us, right? And having this inclusivity and giving rights to our community. Like even the fact that I can leverage my community to even like create my own artwork, which I've been hesitant to do. Like I don't want to take advantage of the people that interact with me because of Pixel Vault to shill my own project. Like that's not my intention. But when I talk to like Jacob and G Funk and the rest of the team, they're like, shill away, like go for it. Like we want you to be successful. We want you to do that. And there's no like conflict of interest here because we all want to create something of value and we're here to support that. So sorry if that answer was more philosophical
No,
than
I love it. I love
like,
it.
you know, the AAA game being the thing or whatever. You know, I can see certain things really taking off, and then I can see certain things just being like, well, we tried that and that didn't work. But you know, Apple had those things, IBM had those things, Amazon had those things. So we'll have those things too.
I love it. I love it. Now, I don't want to keep you too long here because we're almost going for a whole hour, which is awesome. But
I'm
let me.
sorry.
No. It's good. It's good. I've personally gone longer because normally we keep it a half hour, but this is super insightful, and I think it's fun to chat with you. So, I guess final question here: if you were going to pick one thing within this kind of Web3 and NFT space that's happened to you, that you've partaken in, whatever, that's been probably one of your favorite memories, what is it?
Oh God. I really love the private chats that the team has in reaction to things that are happening in the space that they can't share publicly.
Love it.
We have some really funny people on staff, and you know, like we had certain characters that helped us get our start. He who shall not be named. And I love the private discourse that happens as we react to things that are happening in the industry. I think you have everyone on the team is extremely passionate, very smart, very talented, and to see that kind of like just humor and grace and like not taking themselves too seriously. And I think I said this on the other call. One of the things that I really love about the team and that has taught me a lot and that has been like my favorite thing about it is the team, there's a lot of FUD that happens, whether it's our project or other projects. And we can joke about that and we can say yay or nay. But I think what's really cool about the team is that they always look for the kernel of truth that can make them be better. And so, yeah, there's, people fudding this or that in the PV DAO or in the general chat, and we can kind of like poke fun at it. And then somebody will be like, well, what are they saying? Like, can we do something different or better? Not that they're trying to make every person happy, but there's this like constant like wanting to improve. And that's just like a really humbling experience that I feel like I can apply to my own life, which is don't take yourself so seriously. And if somebody's giving you criticism, or if something doesn't work out, or if you like end up creating the dark moon because the mint doesn't go right, like, okay, how do you pivot? And how do you make light of it? And how do you improve on it? And how do you do it differently? And that's been like one of my favorite parts. It's just that thing. On more on a story level, I think my favorite part is my Chris Wall picture of my avatar that I have. So, do you know the story of this?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I know that you have like the character, right? And then it's like your face. So is there more to it?
Yeah, there is. So this is this is my favorite memory so far. I was at a friend's house and my 8-year-old daughter and her 10-year-old friend wanted to paint faces. And they're like, well, Mommy, what do you want to be painted? I said, paint my meta hero. So I showed them a picture of, my meta hero, and they did it. They did the green face and the cheeks, and they did my little brain. And then I spent 45 minutes trying to blow the perfect bubble for the camera. Like, it was not easy because I had to have my eyes looking a certain way and the bubble had to be big, and I had to reapply my lipstick so that it showed up. In any event, I finally got the photo of like my face painted avatar, and I tweeted it to Chris Wall and I said, what can you do with this? And within like a minute, Chris had superimposed my face into my meta hero, and like that's become my avatar now. And so people are like, they'll see it and they're like, oh, cool, it's a meta hero. And then they'll look closely and then they're like, that's your actual face. I'm like, yeah, it is. And so when Twitter Blue came out and they made the hexagon thing, I was like, well, this is an actual NFT, but Chris and Pixelwalt, can I make it an NFT so that I can make it my... And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So the very first NFT that I created was the meta hero that Chris did for me, my face, my meta hero, and posed, and then he signed it. So I minted that, and then that's my hexagon on Twitter, and it's just become like who I am, both in real life. I have a ton of shirts that say "Mama" on them. I love it. That avatar makes me happy, and I feel like it reflects like who I am, and I love it that Chris just like that whipped it up, and now it's like. And somebody wanted to buy it. They're like, how much for your MamaDukes? I'm like, I'm not selling my face. I'm sorry. Maybe for the right price.
Yeah, maybe for the right price. But no, that's such a cool story. I never even knew that. I did notice that it was your face, though. Not gonna lie. Like the other day, I was like, hold on a second, something looks off.
Exactly, and I love it that like my daughter was the one who like painted my face, and then you have the Chris Wall thing, and then it just ties into the MetaDukes, and then I learned how to like add an NFT to OpenSea and mint it, and like the whole like journey to it is just super, super fun. So
I love it. I love it. Well, MamaDukes, this has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you guys down there in the chat. If you're wanting to go follow her on Twitter, apparently some people in the chat are saying they added you on LinkedIn, so.
Yeah, please do. It's so funny. I'm like the director of talent and culture, and I'm doing all the recruiting, and I'm like, I don't want to be on LinkedIn. Like, I don't.
nobody wants to do LinkedIn ever. Don't worry, you're not alone.
And I log in, I'm like, I have 37 DMs and like resumes that I need to respond to, and I just like if you're messaging me on LinkedIn, you just don't know how this space works. Like, find me on Discord.
There you go. But it was awesome chatting with you. Seriously, thanks so much for taking the time and
having me. It's been so much fun. And hopefully I didn't say anything that would get me in trouble with G-Funk and Jacob.
No, so. You're good. You're vibing. I think VGF might be in the chat still, but other than that, you're vibing. But thanks so much. Yeah, 100%. But we'll chat soon. Sounds
great. Thank you. Right.
All right, there we go. Banger, banger, banger. Not bad, eh? Yo, that was cool. Yeah, normally we do like the interviews closer to like the half-hour mark, but I was just like, you know what? Listen, we're kind of vibing, you know? Learning all the deets, the behind the scenes. It's so crazy to hear like people that are a part of it chat, right? Like you see the front-facing aspect of things, but then you know, her talking about, well, how do you get a piece of equipment to somebody that's remote and then have them drop it off when they're done with it? Trick question, you don't. Like, it's crazy.